If you're not first, you're last. So we have episode number 46 today. Biggest episode we're doing yet, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. So episode 46, like I said, big ass episode, recording early because it's that important and you have to make time to do important things. But first, we're going to get into this date in history, July 22nd.
History has its eyes only.
So, July 22nd in 2003, members of the United States Congress released the findings of the 9/11 Commission Report. This comprehensive report, officially named Final Report of the National Commission on Terrorist Attacks upon the United States, a real fucking tongue twister, examined the circumstances surrounding the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks on the United States. The 9/11 Commission, an independent bipartisan commission created by Congress, provided a full and complete account of the circumstances surrounding the attacks. The report included details about the planning and execution of the attacks and looked at ways to prevent such events in the future. It was an instrumental document in understanding the events leading up to the tragic attacks and has significantly influenced U.S. policy on terrorism and homeland security. This was a major event in U.S. history, not only because it marked the culmination of the investigation into the devastating attacks, but also because it led to a significant reevaluation and restructuring of the U.S. intelligence community and its practices.
History has its eyes only.
July 22nd. 2003. All right, so like I said in the intro, big episode because we have our first guest ever on the podcast. I know people have filled it out as a joke, and then I have people fill it out, and then they're just like, oh, no, never mind, or I don't know what we're going to talk about, and they kind of back out. But we secured our first guest. He's a listener, subscriber. He gives me feedback and topics and all this shit. He's an old friend. We met in the military. He's become one of my closest friends. We talk on the phone. We've since PCS'd away from each other a few years ago, but we stay in touch even though we live on opposite sides of the coast. If you met us one by one, you would think we would never get along, but turns out we actually get along really well. And we have a lot of fun together. So with that being said, I guess I can introduce him. His name's Tyler. I'm not going to drop his last name unless he's comfortable with that, but his name's Tyler. We met back in 2017 or so in tech school.
2017.
Yeah, he joins us right now. So go ahead, you can give a little introduction, talk about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny you asked me right off the cuff what a movie quote was, and the first thing that came to mind was, "If you ain't first, you're last." It's just so relevant with the fact that I'm the first person on your podcast. It's hilarious. They say you save the best for last. I don't know if I should take that to heart whenever I think about you asking me to be on your podcast first.
I mean, you never know. You could be the last person. You could be the first and last if it goes well or goes bad. You might be the first and last at the same time. So
yeah, we're gonna have to contact Discord because if other people have as much trouble as we did getting on here, we're gonna have to some folks over there. So yeah, like he said, I'm Tommy. We were a dangerous duo from the time we stepped into the Keesler Weather Tech School class together. That's where we started out, and we quickly got the nickname, the mantra, Donnie and Tommy, if you will. And like Donnie was saying, we've just been great friends ever since. I think that his personality type and my personality type, in like he said, any other situation would probably not even give each other the time of day. But we did, almost were forced to, and it ended up being super awesome. He's definitely been a great big influence on my life. We've shared some things. Obviously the whole country music thing didn't really wear off on him yet.
Nope.
there's hope. But yeah, I love listening to his show. I provide him some thoughts, and he goes through all of the trouble, and I don't go through. I'm lazy. I don't want to do a podcast, so I'm like, hey, you should do this. You should think of this. You should look at it like this, and always obliges. And so side note too, for all of you football fans out there, me and Donnie and Tommy, we were deadly on a flag football field at one point.
It was like Brady and Gronk out there. And that's
It
not
was
that's not a
weird.
that's not like I'm making that up. Like there was a point there where like other teams didn't know what they were doing to try to stop it. Like they were like, wait a minute, we have to use our best defender on the biggest guy on the field. How is this a thing? And
Yeah, it was dangerous.
then they had to adapt a little bit, and we just opened the field up. I pretty much just controlling the middle of the field by just me going down the middle, turning around, you throwing a bullet right at me, and there's nothing really you can do at that point. Because there was like a
Just to paint
7-game
the-
stretch there where it was like, this is actually going to work for a while. Like,
Yeah, I mean, just to paint the picture for everybody listening, it was a situation where we came into the squadron together, and apparently the squadron that we were in they were already established flag football champions, had like the greatest team, and they were like, "Oh yeah, y'all can try out," and we both just kind of looked at each other like, "No, this is going to be our team," and went up to the first game, and it very quickly was established and solidified that we were going to be the starting two. And in flag football, you have someone has to snap the ball. So there was people outside, and Donnie, being as large as he is, basically playing tight end, he would snap me the ball and then run out for a pass. And I'm not even kidding you. I would just not even have to say anything. He would look at the defense, and I would be like, surely he's going to run left on this, run a little 5-yard out left, and sure as shit, 5-yard out left, dip it to him, 15 yards. Same thing. Oh, they're playing that, going right. Same thing, 15 yards. Then once we started practicing, we went to the field one time and practiced, and we'd have like this little signals that we would do amongst each other. Donnie would be running like corners, posts, and we were just tearing people up. Like the first game, I think Donnie had 6 touchdowns.
yeah, and that was the team that was like the competitive team from the year before that like gave us trouble. And this is our first year. This is our first game playing on the team. So like we had no idea what they were talking about. We're like, this is the team that gave you guys trouble. And then it was legit. Like the first snap, I went out and I think I caught like it was like a 10 or 15 yard catch. And then like you said, like it was just like, all right, now they moved people over there. Let's go this way. And you didn't have to say it. I just was like, all right, well that side of the field's open now. I did that. We had like 2 or 3 touchdowns on each on the first offensive drives in the first half, and everyone else on the team was like, have you guys done this before? And was like, no, man. Like I'm like, this is our first game playing together, and like it seems like you guys have done this plenty of times before. I'm like, nah, we've been to tech school together, but that was it. Like there's nothing, we weren't doing anything different. It's just simple. Like there's an open space, I'm gonna go run to that space and you're gonna throw me the ball. And
Nothing unorthodox at all.
yeah, to keep it
just
simple. Yeah, it was like
passing
6
catch.
touchdowns, and then the next week, everyone was like, all the other teams were like, "Yo, that's those 2 you have to worry about. Like you have to watch them." And everyone underestimated it. They're like, "There's no way this kid's catching 6 passes." And then they would start putting like the safety and a fucking linebacker covering me, because if I went short, the kid covering me was too slow. If I went deep, the kid was too small. So they had to double cover me, and then that would open up the field for everybody else. And it's like, how come no one else thought of this? Like it just didn't make sense. We didn't even understand why it worked for as long as it did. And then we cooked
It's trouble.
when they did the leadership versus the airmen thing. They did like the NCOs versus the junior enlisted, and we fucking smoked them. And they were all worked up about it. And it's like, yo, I don't know what you thought was going to happen. First of all, I'm what? How much older am I than you? Like 8 years. Like
Something like that.
you wouldn't even think you would think like, oh, this guy being 8 years older and a foot taller than he is not going to move the way he does. And then all of a sudden I'm flying down the field and you're throwing a fucking dart right into my chest in stride. And then they're like,
Builder
oh
was
wait,
good
that
back
just
then.
happened. That's how we're going to lose this game, by these 2. And then we're just laughing about it. Like, it's not even like we're,
Look like the little giants out there, man.
yeah. And it's like,
Teams were
yeah,
desperate. They started putting Alka-Seltzer in their mouths, trying to intimidate us. It's just-
yeah,
I mean,
it wasn't working. And then we
I
had
hated being
Mosley
the
and-
quarterback too for most of the time, because people would come up. You know how it is. Oh, I'm open. Give me the ball. I'm open this play. I'm open. It's like, yeah. Just hush. I'm gonna dip it to my big man here. We're gonna get 15 yards. We're gonna win the game. Just shut up.
Because when you do throw it to them, they drop it, or they're like, you threw it too hard. That's the worst thing. That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard about. And I think it's mostly an Air Force thing. These people that like, they never played a sport, and then you do something and they're like, that was too difficult, or that was too hard. Or it's like, yo, well, are you playing like, what do you mean? Like, explain that to me. What do you mean it was too hard? You know, like I threw the ball too hard to you and you didn't catch it. And they're like, well, I can't run and catch at the same time. It's like, bro, you're a grown man. You know what I mean? Like you're a grown man. You should have this skill by now. This is a skill you should probably have. At least be able to catch a ball and not complain that it's thrown too hard at you.
There's say an unnamed individual that, I mean, probably one of the smartest guys in his own right I've ever met. extremely passionate about certain things that he's passionate about. But he came out and, camaraderie, we wanted to let him play on the team. And I'm not kidding you. He would, Donnie can testify to this, he was trying to calculate and quantify, like, scientifically and mathematically what we were doing. And it was just like, you either have it or you don't. I think that's in a lot of things, in the Air Force especially, but I think that it was illustrated significantly on our time playing 7-on-7 and just destroying folks, where that common sense piece, I don't even know, there's probably a better way to describe it. It's just the innate ability to understand what's around you, react, and then not only do what's right, but what's it called? The word, I'm failing on a word that, accomplish it, like
Execute.
succeed, execute, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do it. Like, it's not like we practiced in football.
I mean,
We just went over there.
There was one play, and I always remember it because we got called for holding or some shit, and it got overturned. But we were losing, we were down by like a touchdown or something, and we were on because you remember like first down was at midfield. You only get one first down, and it was at midfield. So I remember we were like,
It
on
wasn't
our own
10
side.
yards.
It was
It
like
was
fourth
huge.
down. We needed like 15 yards, and I said to you, I'm gonna run 16 yards, and then I'm gonna cut to the sideline and throw it to me. And
Yep.
I was like, I don't know who's gonna be there, if there's gonna be a defender there or not. I know you're going to throw it where I can get it, and I'm going to rip that ball down. Sure enough, I run up and then execute, like you just said. I said, here's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go do it and just get it done. I wasn't worried about how fast am I going to run to do it. I didn't worry about anything else other than I'm going to go do this and get this yardage. I caught it, went up the field, and then they're like, oh, there was holding. We have to come back and do it again. And then we turned it over or some shit. But I remember that one play, and it was because we had a bunch of super smart people that overthought the entire game. And then we had the crowd that was just, give me the ball and I'm the best ever. We can get into that if you want to, but
Tell him the story of the stolen snap.
oh, it was horse shit. So we had this kid in our team, and I call him a kid because he's fucking 5 feet tall, and he was probably the best athlete at his school when growing up. He was fast, small, arrogant as all hell, and you could tell if he was taller, and even if he wasn't the tallest or biggest, if he was just maybe 2 or 3 inches taller, he would have probably went to D3. But he was 5'2", he was a tiny little guy.
Napoleon.
Yeah, and he had this little.
Napoleon.
He had a Napoleon complex. Yeah.
Santa Ana, just a little guy, needed to prove himself really badly.
Yeah, so he was the quarterback that would just get the ball and then run. That was his thing. He could throw it maybe 10 yards with some force, and then after that, it was just fluttering. So he never threw it. He would just get the ball, wait for the defense to run in, and then he would take off. And it's yeah, that works, but not really. It's not sustainable, at least. It's good once in a while. So the one play, first of all, he's getting frustrated that Tyler's throwing it to me every time. And it's
He was
not
on
that
the
he's throwing
winning
it to me and
team.
I'm not open. He's throwing it to me and I'm open. We're winning the game because of this. Then he's I'll play quarterback and let me do this, let me do that. And it's all right. And just to make sure I have this right, you get the snap. I was going to snap it to you. He cut across you, right? And took the snap.
He told me that he was going to run an out route. And I looked at him and I saw deceit in his eyes. I knew he was about to do something foolish. And granted, the stakes weren't really high. We were playing 7-on-7. It was just a matter of the fact that we had come in and really rubbed this guy the wrong way because he was on the team that had won the 7-on-7 football league 2 years in a row, and he was the quarterback. I mean, literally the day that we showed up to the squadron, he was tossing around between his hands a football and told us that we could try out for the team. And so it ended up we came in and just stole his thunder. And yeah, instead of him running an out route, as soon as I said ready go and Donnie snapped me the ball, he, like a child, jumped in front of me and took the ball and tried to run, and his flag got ripped out before he even made it to the line of scrimmage. It was just
a
that
bitch
level
move.
of,
Because he also outranked us at the time too. So we were still new airmen.
Yeah.
We didn't understand you can't tell someone to go fuck themselves, but that would have been a situation I would have told if that happened now, being at the rank I am now, I would have strangled him. I would have fucking took him outside and just beat the hell out of him for that. Because he didn't tell anybody he was going to do it. He lied about it, and he just wanted the ball. That was it. He didn't care if we won or lost. He just wanted the ball, and he was upset he wasn't getting it. And then he pulled that stunt, and we were just oh man, come on. And then he's like, well, man, I would have got it. And it's well, you didn't. If you would have gotten it, you would have gotten it. That. And he never
it's all
explained
over
what
the
he wanted to
military.
do.
Man. That same behavior in different areas is all over the military. That whole like, I don't know. It's not childish. It's just where someone wants to be the best, and when someone is better than them, instead of just giving credit where credit is due. And I've done it. I have the ability to say there are people who are way better at tons of things, way more important than 7-on-7. I'm certainly not going to go in there and like steal their keyboard from them and like try to do their job better than they are.
Like you, for me at least, what I mean, I learn from them, and I'm not like the most outgoing or like willing participant in doing that. Like I'm going to sit next to you and learn from you, but like I'm going to pick up on shit that they do because I want to be better at whatever I'm doing as well. And I'm a team player. So like, I'm not going to just be like, no, I want the ball. Give me the ball no matter what. I'm going to be like, all right, well, you're clearly better than me at something. I'm going to let you do it. And I'm going to try to be like that, but I'm not going to hinder the entire operation because you don't know what you're doing. Like you want something more than, it's just selfishness really is all it is. Like,
yeah. It's crazy though, because in essence, long story short, we just kicked ass at 7-on-7, and that's really all that really matters.
Yeah, so
it's awesome. One of the highlights of my life is that time period where we just were the best at that. It was so much fun. I loved it.
Yeah, it was something to look forward to. We'd come in the next day at work and be like, yeah, man, we fucking crushed it last night. Like it would, everyone's high-fiving you. Everyone's happy that you're doing it. And you're like, yeah, that's how it's, it's like, that's how it's done. And then, yeah, I mean, you have to eventually stop playing 7-on-7 and grow up, I guess. But they wanted to play. I played softball here like 2 weeks ago for my squadron, and being in cyber career field, these dudes are all indoor. There's about, I'd say, 5 athletes. Everyone else is an indoor person, like sit at home, they play video games. Nothing wrong with that. Like I do the same shit, you know what I mean? I'm doing the same thing. I'm recording a podcast for 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like I'm still sitting in front of my computer, but at least I work out and stuff. And if I want to play a sport, I can. The people I work with now have no intention of being anything athletic. So when I played on the softball team, I get there and, I got the bat, the ball, I'm ready to go. And the first pitch they throw to me, I fucking crushed the thing. My whole team was like, holy shit, I've never seen a ball hit that hard. I'm like, what do you mean? You guys don't play softball? Like, I thought you guys were good. And they're like, we're all right. Whenever they said they were all right, I should have been like, yo, that's a lie. Because they went up there, first of all, they're striking out in slow pitch softball. They're just not hitting the ball. And then when they do, they just continuously run. They're like Forrest Gump. They just start running and they just run around the entire. Yeah. I'm like, do you not know what baseball is though? And they're like, oh no one's ever taught me the sport. I just volunteered to play. I'm like, all right, we have to go over fundamentals. And then, do you guys want to practice? No. And it's like, all right, well, we're not going to get better unless we practice. So you use like the game time. You use like the games to try to teach them fundamentals. Like what to do at certain spots. And there's a few other like athletes on the team that know what they're doing, but like few and far between. Out of 10 people on the field, like 3 of us know what we're doing, and one of them pitches because he's got a bum ankle. So it's like, all right, well, you can't really teach the game the way we're doing it now, and you guys have no ambition to learn how to play, so I'm not going to show up anymore. If that, like, like, this is a waste of my time. Like it's,
I had to stop too.
But you guys aren't trying to get better at all. If you guys were like, hey, we should practice during PT and, anything, we could just throw the ball back and forth. But that's what I was saying. I think I texted you. I threw the ball to first from short and the kid ducked out of the way. I was like, you ducked? What the fuck was that? And he's like, you threw it too hard. I'm like, you have a glove. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. That's exactly basically the reason why I had to stop. And I did it out here one time where there was like pickup basketball. And I think the reason, not saying I'm in the right at all, because that's probably an area I could reevaluate, but I don't have the sympathy that's needed to be able to play sports like that, especially I think in the Air Force, because the level of competition, one, is like so bad. And like you said, I don't want to go out there. There was a situation where on Fridays, it was a great time. On Fridays, we would go play Ultimate Frisbee. And I don't care what game we're playing. We could play hula hoops, but if it's competitive, I'm going to get all into it. And I want to win.
I'm going to try way too hard at that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I have no off button. I don't know if it's just the internal competitiveness that was driven into my spirit as a kid. Like, you're going to go out there and you're going to win. Well, we would play Ultimate Frisbee, and you know how it is. There would be like girls that don't really want to be there. They're happy that you're playing Ultimate Frisbee because that means they can just walk around and have to participate. And, you know, they're throwing a frisbee in itself could be a little bit of a weird athletic motion, one could argue, certainly. They don't play, and then the part that's really the most frustrating is like when the senior leadership is like, "Oh, let them play. Let's toss it to them." It's like, we're down by
Are
one.
we trying to win or what?
Yeah, to them, and they drop it. Okay, turnover. I know it sounds gross, I'm sure, to some of the people. But I can't deal with that. It's like either you're good and you want to play, or you're not. And if you're not, then don't play and go work out instead of just making everyone else have to lower their level of competition.
So what I do,
I didn't like.
what my new thing is now, whenever there's a squadron event and it's like sport day or some shit, I always ask the team that I'm paired up with, are we trying to win or just play? And they're like, and you get a vibe right away. If someone's like, and then you're like, oh, this guy's just trying to play. And then, because that's a difference. If you're like, oh, we're going to try to win, I'm going to go fucking we're going to win this game. You know what I mean? Or I'm going to break my knee trying to win this game. And then we go from there. But if people are like, oh, no, we're just having fun. I'm like, all right, well, I'll dial it back. And it's funny because you're saying like if it's just hula hoops and it's competitive. So whenever I went home for 4th of July weekend, and whenever we play sports with Mason, because he's 9 now, he just turned 9, and he's big, he's tall, he plays sports.
6 foot tall.
Yeah, he's a monster. So like we have a good
Fucking
dynamic.
Donahue.
The 2 uncles and Matt, the dad. We have a good dynamic. So Matt teaches him how to play the sport, right? Like, oh, we want to play basketball. Matt teaches him the fundamentals, how to play the game, like, and we'll play with him like one-on-one. But like Matt like lets him win a little bit, but he's teaching him how to play the game. Andrew is the scapegoat. Andrew like lets Mason win, lets Mason try all the new moves, and like doesn't play hard against him. Gets his confidence going. Uncle Mike comes home, and I don't let him win. I'll let him win after like 20 minutes of beating his ass, and then I'll start.
Sarge is in town.
Yeah, and so I was home over 4th of July, and we were playing pool baseball, and Mason says, I don't want to play with Uncle Mike because he takes it too serious. And everyone's like, come on. Like, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm not going to let him win because he's never going to learn how to get better, because he does learn how to, it's not like I'm beating him down. He doesn't want to play the game anymore. Like I tell him, I'm like, you're going to face people that are bigger than you, stronger than you, and you kind of have to compete harder, and you might lose, but it's going to teach you how to be better. And like, he does learn. Like when we played basketball, I swatted he went up for a layup, and I swatted the thing as hard as I could. And then after that, he was hesitant to go for a layup, but then he realized he could pump fake or like shoot from the outside because he knew I was near the paint. So I'm like, he's learning how to do it better. So like, yeah, I try too hard when it's competitive, but I don't mind dialing it back if I need to, especially if I'm playing against a 9-year-old, but like, yeah, I take, if it's anything competitive, I'm going to take it to the next level because I hate losing.
Just inside of you.
So, but yeah, the thing about the, like, I don't know if it's just like a generation of people, and I hate sounding like that guy, but pretty much anyone that's like under 25 has that kind of like, oh, we're going to lose, so I'm not going to play hard, or like they just don't want to play hard to begin with. It's like they just don't do it. Like there's no...
That's the thing though. That's where my level of frustration kicks in, because I can understand, like, fully be polite and sympathetic, especially if someone just is willing to play, wants to play, they're just not very good. I'm fine with that. Totally am fine with that. It's just when people don't want to even be there, it's the requirement piece of the military. We're having mandatory on PT today. That's what I can't stand.
Yeah, they hit us with the, we did like a 5K, and the one kid was running next to me, and I'm like, he runs, apparently not enough. And it was like your whole team had to cross the finish line to win, to like, your score would count. So like, you kind of had to run with your group. And I did that for the first like mile. And then I'm like, all right, well, you guys are fucking walking at this point. I'm going to work out still. Like, I'm still getting my workout in. I don't care if we win or lose at this point. I'm just going to run. And I ended up like finishing like 3rd overall. But my team came in last because I was paired with because I got not to toot my own horn or anything, but I got a 95 on my PT test. So like, I'm the PT guy now. I'm not a PTL, but I'm like the PT guy. So like whenever there's like a running event, or like pretty much any kind of running event that involves running, they were like, oh, Sergeant Donahue can go do it. And I'm like, I hate running. Like, I'm not even good at it. I'm in the 35 and over bracket. It's not that hard to get a 95. Like, like, but
What do you have to, what do you have to do to get a 95? Hold on, let's clear the air. Let's clear the air here. What do you have to do push-ups wise? Let's get vulnerable. What do you have to do? What did you do on your PT, on your push-ups?
Oh, so push-ups and sit-ups. I do 60 and 60 I've been doing that since like day one though. It's always the run that jerks me off. So like,
You're the run guy.
yeah, but I'm not like so this one was actually my fastest time other than BMT. I was actually hauling ass this time. Like I would have got a 90 and above if it was like the 25 and under bracket. I got a 12:14 run time. I was moving. And we have a track that's 3 laps instead of 6. So like it's big, but it makes it feel like you're running. I feel like I'm running better. It's only 3 laps. It's not that hard. So I feel like
Big man was high stepping it.
yeah. And like I go running like 3 times a week. So like this time I was moving, but the minimum score for like a 35 and over just to pass is like, I think it's like 32 push-ups and like 36 sit-ups and like a 16:45 run time just to get a 75.
You think they should make those requirements tougher? You think they should make them easier, or do you think they're at a pretty good metric?
I like that they made them easier. I feel like there should be more incentive if you get a better score. Instead of just like one comp day, you should get like, I feel like getting above a 95 should be more rewarding, or getting above a 90 should be more rewarding than just being like, oh, we gave you one comp day. Because failing,
Maybe it should like
you could fail like 3
to-
times, but like you get above a 95, they're like, oh, cool. And you get a comp day. And it's like, all right, well, it's not really.
Maybe you should go into like your evaluation more, because I know obviously if you have a failure, PT failure, that certainly does. That can hinder your career in terms of career progression and growth and
Yeah.
things
it
like
stays
that.
with you too.
But
Like,
but there's not really other than that. There's not an incentive to doing well. I guess your incentive is like, hey, you won't get in trouble, which I guess is fine.
yeah, like that's like, oh, so you passed, you didn't get in trouble, like that's great, and then you do really good on it, and then like, oh well, now you're gonna be like a PTL. It's like I didn't ask to be a PTL. Like I just, I did what I'm supposed to do. So I feel like there should be more of an incentive for getting a good score, not more work. Like it should just be you don't have to go to PT anymore. Because usually that's kind of what it is. Like my squadron has that. Like they're like, oh, you got above a 95, you don't have to go to PT. But then they're like, oh, we're doing a running class. Like you're gonna run it, right? I'm like, no. And they're like, why not? You're a good runner. I'm like, yeah. Like I don't want to do that. Like it should just be like leave me alone at completely. I don't know. But the standard thing is wild because they lowered it and then COVID happened, or they lowered it during COVID while no one was working out anyway. All the gyms were closed, and then everyone came back and failed. And they're looking at it as if that had nothing to do with it. They're like, oh, well, they should still be. That's why we have all these failures. And it's like COVID didn't help, but we weren't in the best shape anyway as a force overall. Like we were still the fat people. Like we're the fat branch, like our uniforms are fucking tight and like, you know what I mean? Like we're always getting made fun of because we don't work out. The chair force.
Let me blow your mind. I work in a Space Force unit, okay? Space Force has no PT standards or requirements or anything like that. These guys, you haven't done PT since COVID was a thing. Unless it's like individuals who are, like yourself, who work out on their own time because it's a hobby and your physical fitness is important to you. The individuals who, you kind of have to hold their hand and make them accountable, which isn't really making them accountable, by the way. That's being accountable for them. Doing PT sessions in the military is basically just because there's going to be those individuals who, unless you make them do it, they're not going to do it. But yeah, the Space Force, they haven't made anybody work out. And like I said, there's a handful of them who do go to the gym on a regular basis just because they would, even if they weren't serving or wearing the uniform. Dude, I would love to see the statistics and the percentages on how many of them legitimately have not gone on a run, done a push-up, anything since January of 2020 when all of this stuff really started kicking
I would
off.
imagine it's pretty high. Like, so the Space Force, you're not actually in the Space Force though, right? You're just at a Space Force like base and like unit.
Yeah, I'm
doesn't
attached to it.
Doesn't the Space Force use like the trackers? Don't they have like the fitness trackers or some shit? Or is that just
No, that they're talking about it. It's in the works, but I mean, I can attest it's been in the works for like 2 years now. But think they're beta testing them, or they just got through beta testing them. So maybe there was a few individuals who had them, but I mean, you got to get those things cleared to wear into skiffs, and
Yeah, it's a
it's
whole
all
thing.
Bluetooth. It was rings at one point too. They were talking about
the
wearing
rings.
rings.
'Cause they
Obviously,
did
there's
that-
a
so we
situation.
did, they had that here, or at McGuire, where I'm stationed. They had that. You can, if you go to Fat Camp, they make you wear it. Or if you're in like a nutrition program or something, like they make you wear it. And someone got in trouble. I don't know. One of the first sergeants said it. Like the first sergeants were, they meet up and they have their own little meetings and stuff. But our first sergeant said that one of the people got in trouble because they took the fit thing. They said they were going for a run, and then they just drove in their car at like 5 miles an hour to track a run. So like, there's ways around beating this thing. It's it's not that hard, and like people are always going to figure that kind of thing out when like they have to be doing something. They're forced to do something. They're gonna figure out ways around it. Everyone does it. Like we get forced to go to PT and all this stuff, and they're like, yeah. I have an appointment, or I have to go to dental, or I'm not on a profile, but I plan on being on a profile. So can I not work today? And it's like, yeah, I guess, but like you're going to end up failing, and then round and around we go, where we're just playing by your rules at that point. Like I don't know about you. I don't know how if like what you do at your job, but like I'm in charge of my office. Like I'm in charge of the airmen. So like there's a master sergeant, and then there's a tech, and then it's me, and then all the airmen. And I'm in charge of the airmen like day to day. Like if they have an appointment, if they want to leave, if they go to lunch, like they have to let me know. So I told them my policy is they can come in late in the morning if they work out, or they can take a 2-hour lunch if they work out. They can't just take a 2-hour lunch because they want to take a 2-hour lunch. So I give them ample time to work out. So then the dude that's against it, who's my supervisor, the tech sergeant above me, he fails his PT test. And I was like, well, it's not like I didn't give you any time. And like, you're my supervisor, so you can literally do whatever you want. I'm like, but this is why I give everyone ample time to work out. Whenever they can go in the morning and come in an hour late, or they can take a 2-hour lunch. Because I don't want to hear the excuse of, I don't have time to do it. It's like, yo, I'm giving you time in the day, during the day to do this. Like, there's no reason for you to fail. And then you can't get mad at me and be like, well, my supervisor didn't give me any time, or this and that. Like, nope, I gave you plenty of time. I gave you in the morning, so you can't say it's hot. And I gave you lunch, a 2-hour lunch, so you can shower or cool off or go get something to eat afterwards. Like, you know what I mean? I gave you all this time because I hate the excuse of I have no time to do it. And I get it. Like, you have a family, so you can say it like, you don't have time. You have to go home to your family and take care of shit. And I get it. Like, I'm a single guy, so I don't have to worry about it. I can work out whenever. Like, it's easier for me. So to counteract that, I give them time during the workday to go do it.
It's awesome. I mean, yeah, that's super lenient. I wish that was standard. I know in the Army, we were in South Carolina, there was a few Army individuals, and we would go to the gym and work out, even like on our days off, and they would all be in there in uniform every day, asking them around like, well, y'all do PT every day? And they told us that it was built into their 8-hour workday.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's awesome. I think if you're gonna have a standard like that, even just like 3 days a week, where 1 hour is built into your schedule instead of like you having to do it on your own, is really cool. But then again, it goes back to the only if it's people who are competent enough to do it and not just walk around and be there just to be there, sort of thing.
Yeah, like the ones that just like fill up space. Like, and I get it. Like the first time I went into a gym, I had no idea what I was doing. Like, thank God for my brother. And like I would just watch people in the gym and just learn what they do. And like be like, oh, I want to do that too. And like you do something, and you're like, oh, that worked. I'm sore now, so that must have done something. And then you kind of just like make your own routine from there. So like I get the part.
That's a good point.
Like, I don't want to go to the gym because I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, all right, I can help, or I can give you because like that's all. People don't like that either. Like, oh, I don't want you to follow me around the gym. Plus, I don't want to have to do that either. But like, I'd rather see you succeed than not. So I'm going to take time out to do it myself. Or I can send you a video and like a YouTube video or something and then show you how to do it that way. But I'm not.
I guess weights can be like intimidating. Maybe I should retract my statement because I was introduced to it at a very young age. So I couldn't see, I guess, prior to you saying that, how someone can just go in there and just walk around, because that happens so often. But I guess you're right. I guess maybe the gym can be intimidating.
Yeah, especially if like you walk in there and there's like a fucking meathead that's just like throwing 315 around like it's nothing, and then you're barely bench pressing the bar. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're just like, oh, I feel like a pussy. And it's like, you know, it can be. I could see why someone wouldn't want to go through that, or if they're just fat. Like there's a couple people I work with now that are chubby, on the chubbier side of 200 pounds, and they get like self-conscious about it. I'm like, I get it. Like it sucks. But at the same time, like you think people are looking at you, but they're really not. And especially on an Air Force base, like nobody wants to get in trouble because they were making fun of somebody in the gym. You know how much trouble you would get into if you got caught doing that? Like it's like how sensitive the military is now, and especially how sensitive the Air Force is. If someone reported you for laughing at somebody in the gym, your career would be over. I could see that.
Yeah. There are some people, though, you know, we've been kind of like ragging on it as a whole, but there are some individuals who are just unearthly strong.
Oh, yeah.
In the military. There's some freak athletes that you would be like, there's already that preset opinion out there, you know, Chair Force and everyone in the military, or everyone in the Air Force at least, is nerd, really good at computers, but not really big athletes. And though that stigma probably does have some truth to it, it just attracts individuals who, you know, I guess are more into cyber things, whereas like Army and Marines is mostly hands-on work, which is nothing wrong with that. But that being said, I've seen some individuals in the Air Force that are just all-around ballers, like absolute freaks. Like, why are you not playing ball somewhere? Like, how are you deadlifting 500 pounds for reps right now? Like, just monsters, man. I mean, even like dudes who are at the end of their career. When we were in South Carolina, remember there was a few like senior NCOs like Hendricks, even Greba. They would go to the gym and just CrossFit like every day.
They would do like 2 hours of CrossFit workouts, and you're like, what the fuck, man?
Like that's I will tip my cap and say, like, though there is as much as you can even imagine, there is so many frustrators in the military. There is also silver lining. There is also some people who are just downright impressive, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, like there's some freaks, and you're like, damn, why'd you join the Air Force? Like you
remember Ruben?
Yeah, that dude was but the thing, I don't think Ruben, but you got to think though. So he grew up in like the South, which is like breeding these athletes. You know what I mean? So he probably wasn't that good of an athlete.
He grew up in Sumter, South Carolina.
And you know who else grew up in Sumter was fucking John Morant. You know what I mean? So like Ruben is playing up against John Morant, and like comparatively, like John Morant's a shitload better than Ruben. So Ruben probably never thought he was that good because he was probably playing against people that were bigger or at least the same size as he was. But to me and you, I'm like, this dude's an athlete, and like he was athletic.
Zion Williamson. Yeah. Williamson. He's also from there too.
Yeah, like it's just
Ray Allen.
It's just
you're right, man.
Like, because I remember when John Morant was at an intramural game one time. He didn't play, but he was there because we let, I think it was 2021. It was after COVID. Oh no, it was right before COVID. It was 2020, like January, because I was in ALS, and they let a town, like a town team play in the base league, which I thought was a terrible idea, but it was like a base outreach thing, and
that's cool.
They cooked every Air Force team, and I was like, yeah, what'd you expect? And like, I didn't know, no one knew who John Morant was at the time. Like I didn't know, at least until he was in the NBA, and I was like, that's who that was, because he was sitting on the sideline not playing, and I saw the hair and everything, and I was like, and someone said like, oh, that's John Morant, and I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that is. Like, we're getting our ass kicked by like 40, you know, like like. It's not even
crazy.
Team, and this dude's not even playing. Like, oh, he's going to go to the NBA. And I'm like, whatever. And then when I saw him in the NBA, I'm like, oh, not that I know him, but I'm like, oh, that guy lived in Sumter. And then like, yeah, he went to Cherryvale. Like, he lived right down the road from Shaw. And it's like, yeah, so Ruben was a freak athlete to me and you, and he was a freak athlete. But then you got to realize, like, he's playing in these towns where like, this is like their ticket out is being an athlete. So they just fucking play nonstop. And yeah, because Sumter was a shithole. Like, let's be honest, that place was a dump.
Yeah, it was.
That place was awful. I when I moved to New Jersey, they were like, oh yeah, there's nothing close to base that's nice. You have to live like 45 minutes away. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, how bad could it be? And then I moved into this neighborhood that I live in now, and they're like, oh, that's the worst part you could have moved into. Like, this is like it's not the best, but it's way better than South Carolina. I'm like, I don't have to worry about my car getting stolen. Like, I don't have to worry about like shit like that happening. I don't have to worry about gunshots at the movie theater. Like, yeah, there's some hood rat shit that goes on, but I go to the bar down the road and I see all the people that live in my neighborhood, and they're like, yeah, we had some shady people over, but we kicked them out and there was a fight. You know what I mean? Like, you see these people every day because it's a small town. It's like a small little community I live in. And I'm like, yeah, it's not bad. It's just bad things happen. But it's not like Sumter where like bad things always happen and the cops don't do anything about it. Like when there's speeders, or like we had 2 weeks ago, the cops put notifications on everyone's door saying, what are those stupid things they steal off of cars? Catalytic
rims?
Catalytic converters.
Oh,
so
that's right. Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I live on a dead end. I have one neighbor and I'm on the inside. So like nothing comes down. Like I'm lonely down here basically. So I'm like, I don't even have to worry about it, but I set the cameras up to check the driveway and everything. And then you see more cops out at night, like cops are around. When my car got stolen in Sumter, for comparison, the cop said to me, oh, we don't go to that side of town. Because I had it on my phone. I had my GPS on my phone. I'm like, my car is 4 miles away. And he's like, we don't go over there. I'm like, what do you mean you don't go over there? He's like, yeah, we just don't go in that neighborhood. So I was like, so who the hell's going to get my car back? He's like, you can go over there. He's like, and call us when you get it. I was like, are you serious? Like, this is a brand new car. I got it in July. This was like September that same year. I was like, are you kidding? And he's like, no, I'm serious. He's like, call us when you get it. When you see it, you have to call us and we'll send people. And I'm like, all right. So we drive over there. I see the car parked behind like an abandoned house. And this neighborhood was sketchy as shit. This was like, it's like 8 Mile kind of like people sitting out on the front porch just drinking, like nothing's going, like people just walking around. Yeah, like there's nothing. There's nothing going on. And I'm like, this is a sketchy neighborhood. I'm not hanging out here. And called the cops and they sent like 12 officers in. And then they were like, you have to come in with us to get the car out. We can't drive your car for insurance reasons. I'm like, all right. So I walk out like an idiot. I'm wearing gym clothes because I was going to go to the gym. And I'm like, I asked the cop next to me. He's escorting me into this weird neighborhood. I'm like, am I going to get shot? And he's like, probably not. I was like, well, I would like to know that ahead of time because I'm not wearing a vest like you are. So I'm safe, right? He goes, you should be good. They don't really mess with cops. I was like, oh, that's good. So I go look at my car and like they turned it upside down. But basically they just emptied out the glove compartment. There's no money or anything important in there. So I'm like, are we gonna like, like I'm standing like, and I'm not asking anything weird. I'm like, so we're gonna catch these people? And they're like, nope. And I was like, what do you mean no? And they're like, no, we don't have the resources to investigate it. So unless you know who it is, we're not going to find him. I was like,
no chance this is a real story.
I swear to God. And I was like, hey, this has got to be a joke. And they're like, no, but they gave me like this workup and they were like, nothing seems to be missing, but you have to bring it in to Ford to get it inspected because it got stolen and they have to check everything to make sure nothing's missing from the engine. Like they might have stole something off the engine. So like get it inspected and all this stuff. So I'm like, so I'm supposed to just park my car back in the parking lot and hope it doesn't get stolen again? And they're like, pretty much. And I was like, this has got to be it. Like I thought I thought I was getting punked at this point. I'm like, this has got to be a joke, right? And they're like, no, we just don't we don't have the budget to investigate this kind of stuff. I'm like, but you can't like park a car at you can't do anything. And they're like, no, we don't have the budget. I was like, all right, so I guess we're just living in the Wild West. I was like,
try that in a small town.
Oh yeah, give me a break.
I mean, try that,
Yeah, I had to go. Someone messed. So this lady, I'll pull it up now. So obviously,
I mean, realistically though, I'm just thinking someone tried to do that. At least where I was from, they just like stole a car. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what would happen.
Well, you almost shot your brother once, right?
It was my cousin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was playing a trick on us, and I grew up out in the middle of nowhere, and he came and pounded on my door really hard. Me and my brother were home alone, and we were in high school. He was probably like a freshman at the time. I think I was like a senior. And I'm talking like he pounded on that door like Donkey Kong, and it immediately like scared the crap out of me. Like no one would do that in their right mind. And we had just been duck hunting that morning, so my gun was like easily accessible. It was right there in my room. And he busted through the door thinking it was going to be a joke, like with something over his face. And I pulled my gun right out on him, like inches from his face, not knowing who it was. Crazy.
Yeah, that's different. But I mean, you got like it's just that's how it is in other places.
He lived.
Yeah,
he lived.
He's fine. It's like the there was one day I came home from work early because it was night shift or some shit. And I remember, that was when you won those shotguns. You like won shotguns from some shit. And they were right on the couch. Like they were just out in the open. And like guns don't freak me out, but I'm like, I was like, you should probably put those away, but whatever. Like it is what it is. Like it's fine. And I remember I went to work. It was a night shift. And I went to work and I got there and they're like, oh, you're not supposed to be here tonight. So you can go back home. And I remember I remember I texted you like, hey, I'm coming back home. Don't shoot me. Because like I was like, he's probably, if he hears the door, he hears me leave, and then hears the door open again 20 minutes later. He's going to think it's a So I'm like, please don't shoot me. It's just me coming back home. And you're like, all right, thanks. And I was like, that would have sucked if I wasn't that smart to just text you. Like, hey, I'm coming home, and you just bought these new shotguns. Yeah, but I mean, you just bought these new shotguns. Like, you're itching to use them. Like, and you're like, oh, someone's breaking in. Time to let's go. Like, let's do this. And all of a sudden, it's just start bucking.
I'm not gonna let you have that. No, can't let you have that. I do remember coming in to our small apartment, decked out, had camo from head to toe. Face was all painted, and I had my gun, and I brought in a freshly killed turkey I had just shot. Threw that thing in the kitchen sink and just kept it moving.
I think it was a squirrel. It's not exaggerated here. I think you killed a squirrel. It was a squirrel. You're not that good of a hunter.
Turkey. It was a turkey.
Oh, no, you did kill a turkey. That's right.
It's on my wall right here.
Yeah, you did kill a turkey. That's right.
I killed a turkey.
The squirrel
we tried to make
you did kill a squirrel and you kept it in the freezer for a while.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing we do in small towns, I guess.
Because I remember my mom saw a picture, maybe FaceTime or something. She saw the guns in the background. She was freaking out, and I was like, "That's just how he lives, Ma. It's fine. It's not a big deal." She thought we were just like playing with guns. Like, it's like no. I was like, "It's fine. It's not a big deal. He just leaves his guns out sometimes." And then she's like, "That's the worst thing he could do." All this and that. And I was like, "It's fine. They're not loaded. I don't think they're loaded, but." I don't really mess with them too much.
I was pretty, I was different back then. Now, being a father, being a little bit older, wiser, I probably should have had them stowed away somewhere safer. But
I mean, yeah, hopefully there's no guns around that Keelan can just pick up whenever he wants. And you guys live now, so you guys don't even, so he's not even like, well, maybe Keelan is because he's a little older and he lived in Texas already, but like, he's not like used to having guns around, right? Because you can't have them in California or definitely not on base.
You can, actually. There's a lot more regulations than people would think. We choose not to just because of the kids. And we live on a military base, right? Like, if I were to be in a situation where crime was running rampant and I needed to, feel some sort of security in an effort to protect my children, my family, then yes, we would have them and absolutely take every measure imaginable just to ensure that nothing happened. But yeah, you can have them. But it's interesting, like you said, that kind of makes me think about one of the cool things about the military is like, I am like not even the same person, and you're definitely not the same person that I knew just a few years ago. You get shaped into this individual by the end of it. That's just, you take little pieces, like you were saying earlier, good and bad, and it kind of molds you into who you become. And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. We should catch up face to face sometime. It'd be really interesting to see the changes that we've both had over the years. Like, I don't even know if you can remember. And your accent, I can tell you firsthand, whenever I first spoke to you in Mississippi, was just outrageous. Like, this dude's, that's not real.
Yeah.
That's not how people talk. Like, you wrote down a name. It's Patchogue, and I know that from knowing you. You're like, say this word. I was like, Patchogue? Patchogue? But even then, dude, you couldn't understand me.
No, I couldn't understand a word you said. And you don't even speak fast. Yeah. You're not like a hillbilly where like they're like like it's not like that. Like you talk pretty slow, and I still had no idea what you were saying half the time. I'm like, I don't know what you just said. You gotta speak normal, and you're like, no, you gotta speak normal. It was just back and forth. Like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about, and you're like talking coffee, and I was like, all right, whatever, man. Like,
you remember we went through like this thing for like 5 months where we would grab a pen, finish my sentence. What would we do with it?
You just write down a word and say, pronounce that or say that, right?
Okay, yeah. But I was more or less going for the thing where we would like grab a pen and then we would like act
I still do that.
We would act like we were going to throw it at each other just to see the reaction of like the
you
other
don't know when
person.
it's coming. Like you could let it go, and you still have to pay attention. So like, I do that shit to my brothers. I do it to people at work still. Like that's like a common. I still do that shit. It's just a funny.
Yeah.
It's funny enough to not be like that annoying. But it's annoying enough to be like, yo, you got to stop doing that. It's obnoxious. And then you're like, all right, here, take it. And you do it again. And then you do it again. And then you do it again. Like,
But we never stopped.
it went on all
never.
day. It was, and then like the one time you
Some
throw
people
it.
could do it like once, twice, and it's like, that was funny, and then that's over. But no, dude, we would do that, God, like all day long.
I mean, yeah, it's just that. And like that's like the, especially working in like when you work in a skiff or just at work. I don't know if it's like that in like civilian jobs. I don't think it is because I never worked in an office in a civilian world. But like keeping busy and like you just like people just fuck around at work and you find these things to like keep you occupied. And it's like little shit like that where like every day it's the same thing, but like it keeps you occupied and like you just laugh at it. And when you try to explain it to somebody, like people that just heard that are gonna be like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like that's gonna be like, they're like, that's dumb. Like why would they just do that? But like I think it's fucking funny. Like I think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I still fuck with people like that. Every time I go to throw something to somebody, I always do like 6, 7 fakes before I actually end up doing it. I do it all the time.
I mean, some of the memories I can think about where I look back and I can think of moments where my stomach was just hurting because I was laughing so hard was in those tech school weather rooms where, like you said, we're all just there trying to do what we can. We just raised our hand to serve this country, don't really know what we're doing. It's intimidating, it's scary, you're lonely, you're going through all of these individual personal trials and tribulations. And like you said, what do you do? Just to try to like bring some humanity into it, you just latch onto these stupid little quirks and things like that. Dude, the bird puns that we would do. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
it was
Probably
the whole day
weren't
of
even
bird
funny.
puns. It was for an entire day we just made bird puns, and the staff sergeant marine was just a hard ass. Did not think it was funny in the slightest, and we just kept doing it over and over again. Like he didn't think it was funny, not even a chuckle, nothing. He didn't think it was funny at all, and we just kept making
my
bird
God.
puns over and over again. He didn't think it was because he was such like a strict dickhead, but he was cool. But like he had to put that like marine like persona on, so he didn't think he had to act like it wasn't fun. I'm pretty sure he thought it was funny, but for like the 2 hours we did it straight that whole morning, he just did, and then we did it after lunch, and he was like, "Nope, we're gonna stop that. We're not doing that anymore. That's past us."
He ripped me that one time because he thought I was making fun of Little.
Yeah.
Remember that? I don't even remember what I said, but I said something to Little, and we had some great banter back and forth amongst ourselves. Like, he definitely didn't take it in any sort of offensiveness. It was just...
I think because his last name was Little, like Little's last name was Little. And then I think when you said Little and then you said something else and it sounded like you said like little bitch or something like, you know what I mean? I think he tied that to something. Like he thought you were calling him like a little.
Who knows?
But like, yeah, he snapped that one day at you. And that other, remember that moron? The tall
Oh my
ass guy
God, I
that
knew you were
snapped
going
at
to bring it up.
What the hell?
He
was
asked me,
his-
he said that he had a missile, like, in his office.
He had a missile.
And I said,
he
"No,
had a
you-"
bazooka behind his desk.
I said, no, you don't. No, you don't. He was weird. Oh
He's
my
like, yeah,
gosh.
I do.
that
And
guy
you're
was
like,
weird.
go and prove it. And he's like, you're talking to an NCO. You're talking to an instructor. I'm an NCO. You can't talk to me like that. And it was like, bro, I thought we were joking around. And he's like, this is so
Yeah.
disrespectful. And he like left and got the instructor supervisor. And then
Yeah,
the IS was
I
like,
thought legitimately I was going to be, like, washed out. I thought, like, well, guess I'm getting sent home.
yeah. And the instructor supervisor was like, so what happened? And we were like, this guy overreacted. Like, it really wasn't that serious. Like, it wasn't like a
Yeah.
challenge. He didn't like challenge him to a fight. He just said like, you don't have a bazooka, like prove it. And like this guy just freaked out. And then he's
Yeah,
like,
it
"Oh,
wasn't
well,
like a no, you don't. It was like a I have a bazooka behind my desk. No, you don't. Like, get out of here. No
That's what I
way.
mean. It was like, and it was like in the context of it, like for him not to read the room, like we were clearly all joking around, and he just said he had a bazooka behind his desk. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's an outrageous thing to say, and then for someone to just say like, no, you don't. Like that's a normal response. It wasn't like you were like, shut up, you fucking
Right.
liar. Like that'd be different.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
That
yeah, so-
reaction that
and then
we got was
I remember the IS
crazy.
like asking us questions about it, and we were like, "Dude, I think he just overreacted." And then remember he told us that same guy was like, I run a 5K every morning and I bench press 275. I'm in better shape than everybody. And it was like, no one asked, man. Like no one asked your bona fides here. And I'm pretty sure that's not true. Remember he had like pictures on his Facebook, like him drinking in uniform on his front porch and shit.
Yeah, he was like the guy who wears tactical gear to paintball, like decked out.
He brings his gun to church.
Military grade Oakleys.
You're like, dude, you're mowing the lawn. I don't think you need bulletproof Oakleys on to mow the lawn.
Right, exactly.
You know, like you spent $300 to mow the lawn with bulletproof glasses on. I don't think that's necessary, dude. We get it. You're in the military.
Shouldn't have questioned the fact that he did in fact have a bazooka behind his desk. And I can attest, after the fact, he like whimperingly cowered around, came back in after the instructor must have like told him like, hey, dude, you need to chill. You overreacted. It must not have been the first time, because he came up to me like a dog licking his wounds and was like, I would love to show you. I actually do have a bazooka. And sure as shit, he did. He had a bazooka, and I walked around the corner and was like, cool. What do you want me to say? You just ruined my whole day.
Yeah, like the day is ruined, man. Like you know what I mean? Like you ruined the entire vibe of the class. And then I remember like it was our next instructor. I don't think it was the Marine staff sergeant yet. Someone told us like he was put on block 4, because I was like block 4. We did the maps and shit. Like they put people in those blocks, like the drawing blocks, because like they're incompetent at their job. So they put them in like the easy ones. And like drawing a map is like the easiest thing in the world. So like they put like the incompetent instructors, and it's like, oh, that kind of makes sense why that guy was there, because he's a fucking dunce.
Dude, there was one guy, civilian, and he told us a story about when the hurricane had come through that area. He like had to get an axe and chop a hole in his roof so that he could escape the storm.
Oh, I seen him. When I was at Keesler when I got retrained, I saw him. I shook his hand and everything. He remembered me and you. I don't know if he just said, yeah, I remember you guys, but he remembered me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, what was his name? I know
he would bring in.
He looked like the military. Like he had like the
yeah,
white dude.
Yeah,
like he looked like a veteran. Like white dude, goatee, very strict, like plaid shirt tucked in.
His wife would always make macaroons. Macarons. I don't know.
He brought them in every day. He brought in macaroons,
like good ones.
I'm pretty sure they were store bought, but whatever.
Pistachio.
Yeah, those were good. Yeah, he always brought those in. What the hell was his name? But I saw him at Keesler when I was there. He was getting gas, and I was coming out of the gas station. I was like, we locked eyes. And I'm like, I know who you are. And then he's like,
the macaroon guy.
Yeah, I was like, that's what I said. I was like, you're the macaroon guy, right? Like I was like, remember Thomason? And I was like, we were in the Marine was our instructor. He's like, yeah. He's like, you guys both went to Shaw, right? And I was like, yep. And that was us. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember you guys. And that was that. And I was like, all right, see you later. All right, bye. Okay, bye.
Isn't that so military?
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, the military.
I just had a friend over here. We met him like 4 months ago. Same family dynamic, style, type, ages for kids and things like that. Hobbies, interests, all that sort of thing. Really awesome people. They just PCS'd today. It's like,
that sucks.
Well, that was cool.
That was
while they were here. Yeah, crazy. They ended up living on the same base, like just one neighborhood away, where it's inconvenient. Like the roads don't intertwine.
Yeah.
There's like a layer of houses basically separating ours, but they were like literally less than 200 yards away from our house the whole time. 3 years.
Damn. And you guys just never met, never like crossed paths at all.
Till a couple months ago, and they ended up being like really awesome, cool people, and then they left today.
That sucks.
Military's crazy, man.
It's just like you're used to it though. Like, you know what I mean? Like you just like, oh yeah, you make friends, and you leave your friends every 2-3 years.
Yeah.
You just say hi, and you're like, but like, so I don't know if this is like when you go home, right? Or anywhere really that's away from the base. Like when you meet somebody in the military, you guys like, or it could be a girl, whoever you talk to, they're like, oh, I was in the I'm in the military. And you're like, oh, what branch? It's like, oh, Marines, or whatever they say. Like you like kind of have a connection right away, right? But
bro, I'm going to tell you a creepy story whenever you're done on this same subject. But go ahead, finish
it. Whenever I go home, every time I meet somebody that's in the military, like that I don't know it's in the military, like it's just like a random, we'll be at the bar or something, and like they see my CAC and they're like, oh, you're in the military? I'm like, yeah, I'm in the Air Force. And like, oh, I'm in whatever, the Army. And I'm like, oh, sweet, man. And then like we talk for like 10-15 minutes, and then we probably won't speak again the rest of the night. But
yeah,
people that see it on the outside are like, so you guys like, are you guys gonna like hang out? And it's like, no, we just we're both in the military. And it's like a common, I described it to people. It's like right away you have like that 50% like trust in that person. Like I don't trust him enough to watch my kids or anything. I wouldn't trust him to hold my wallet for the night. But if something went down, I know right away I can probably rely on that person to have any kind of sense of what to do just because they're in the military.
Yeah.
Like it's like right away there's
100%.
there's like a trust right there. And they're like, that's kind of
100%.
weird. Like it's a stranger. I'm like, yeah, but I meet strangers all the time and you're forced to either work with them or deal with them for however long. It could be a new person in your building or just someone you're dealing with that day that's coming over to fix something, like a CE person. I was like, but you deal with it and you understand like they're doing the same thing. We're all working towards the same mission. You know, we're all wearing the same uniform or a similar uniform. We both took the oath and all this stuff. So like right away you have that trust, like this person is doing something that I'm doing as well. We might not like each other or anything, but we have this kind of connection right away. And then it's like, see you later. I'll never talk to that person again. And people are like, that's kind of weird. I'm like, not really. Like, you can't explain it unless you're in it. And when people see it, they're
Right.
like, that's weird how you guys just became best friends, but you're like, you're never going to speak to him again. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be best friends with him, but I know if I see him or if he sees me on the side of the road, like he's going to stop and be like, hey, you need help, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Like you already have, it levels up to, in my book at least, it levels up that person to be like, he's going to help somebody if they need it because he's volunteered to do that already.
Yeah. And you never know when you're going to run into them again, like your situation with the dude in the gas station. Like, oh, I know you from this time. Yeah, that was a great time. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll see you again down my path of life, you know. Maybe I won't. But I like you and I had a great time and that's it. Some people are just in your life for a season. You hear that all the time. I think in the military definitely embodies that wholeheartedly. Like these people that we just met, like they were awesome. There's a really high likelihood that I'll never see them again, but they were really cool people.
Yeah, you might become
and I'll
friends with
probably
them on
talk about
Facebook.
them. Yeah. But dude, like you were saying, being able to pick up on things and having some sort of similarities with other individuals who are in the military, even if you've never met them before, just sharing that one common denominator of you both serving can make you have like a little bit of a connection. Me and my wife went to a bar a few months ago. Yeah, grandparents flew out here and, you know, very rarely do we get to go date each other without the kids.
Yeah.
They flew out here and me and the wife went on an overnight date. So we went bar hopping. We were at this bar and this guy with his wife was sitting just a few paces away from us at the bar as well. And I looked at him and I could hear him talking as I was ordering my beer and he ordered his beer. And I looked at Emily and I said, that dude was in the military. And she said, how do you know? And I said, I don't know. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but he was in the military. I know he was. And she said, there's no way. I said, you want me to ask him? So the server brought our beers back at the same time. And we both said thanks. And I asked him, I said, hey, were you in the military? Sure as shit. He was in the military. He said he served in the Air Force. This was like 10 years ago. He served in the Air Force for, I think he said 4.5 years. But I was like, dude, that's so crazy. He said, why do you ask? And I was like, I don't know. I saw you and something in my head was like, yeah, he was in the military. Some sort of like thing that we have. I don't know if it's a personality trait or an aura, if you will. Someone's got to get some crystals out. Tell me what's...
That's the thing. Like, I don't know what it is, but like you can pick up on it. And when I heard that when I was like first in the military, like, oh, you can tell, like we can tell that you're in the military because you guys stick out. And it's like, yeah, I'm tall. I stick out normally. And they're like, no, it's just, it's going to rub off. You give off like an energy that you're in the military. And then like you said, like you knew this dude was without ever knowing it, like really knowing it. And then you asked and he was like, oh yeah, I was. And it's like,
even further, it was weird because like we were both things that I was noticing after the fact, after like days after just, you know, talking with Emily about the event, like we would see them at this bar and then see y'all later, never see you again. And at another bar on the same strip, we might see them again. And I would say, hey, and he'd say, hey, we'd shake hands and walk away. Guess what? I don't even know his name. No idea. But we had an interaction like probably 10 different times. But the creepy part about it after the fact that we really started thinking about was there was a few bars where there's a big like dance area.
yeah.
And for whatever reason, I would find myself like up against the wall and I'd look over and there he would be like on the other side of the room, but up against like the same wall. Or like we would be outside at a different bar at a different area and I would be like leaned up on a fence and he would be leaned up on the same fence, and I would see him, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like there's something about us that connects us. Like we're all living like the same life here. It's really crazy.
Yeah. No,
You have your third person.
third guest coming on.
Yeah,
Second guest.
on the podcast. Hey, sweetie.
Yeah, I saw. I don't know if it's so. Like, I don't know when I became. I guess it's because I PCS'd in, and I have a room full of airmen that all look up to me. Besides, like one senior airman that's been in longer than I have. But like, they rely on me for like knowledge and shit. And it's at first I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You know, like I've never been in charge. I've always been the lowest ranking. Oh, there she is.
Say hi.
Hi, Emerson. So at Shaw, I was always the lowest ranking person. Even when I was with the MQ9s, like I was always, even when I made staff, I was still the lowest ranking person. So I never had any kind of responsibility. And then I get here and they're like, oh yeah, you're in charge of these 8 people. And I'm like, what do you mean by in charge of? And they're like, well, 6 of them are your troops and the other 4 work in this office and you're in charge of the whole office. And I'm like, all right, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with that information, but I'm going to do whatever I need to do. And then they started asking me questions and I'm like, and I can't look like I don't know the answer because they're supposed to look up to me. So like I'm really good at being like of not knowing, but not telling them I'm not sure. Or like when they told us we were getting deployed, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, let's do it. And they're all looking to me like I've been deployed. I'm like, I've never been deployed either, but I can't like tell them. A, I definitely can't tell them like I'm nervous or anything. And like B, I have to actually act like I know what I'm doing because they're going to be looking to me to be like, what are we supposed to do? And then I have to like, but it's also like now I just not like, if I need something done, I'm not scared at all to just knock on someone's door or call over them and be like, hey, sir, I need this done today. You know, like, and just be asking people to do things or telling people like, hey, I need you to sign this.
Like we were saying at the beginning, man.
Yeah.
You just got to accomplish it. You just got to get it done.
Yeah. And like it definitely came with the territory of like these people are relying on me now and I'm supposed to know all the answers because I'm a technical sergeant, so I'm supposed to be technically accurate and all this stuff. And then they can't see me like do anything wrong. And so like I don't know, it just becomes like a weird like it's like a fake it till you make it basically is what's going on now. Like, there's a lot of things I'm faking, but at the same time they're like they look at me like, oh, you made staff, so you must know all the answers to the staff test. And I'm like, I was like, I guess. I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. No, it's fine. Let it rip.
She's gonna tell you she wants to watch Peppa Pig.
I mean, Peppa Pig's a good show.
Peppa Pig. You like Peppa Pig?
What about Bluey?
Donnie
Did you watch
kinda-
Bluey?
No, we don't watch
I
Bluey.
feel like that's banned in your house, right?
No, dude, she's not a TV baby.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, she's definitely not a TV baby. It's a blessing and a curse.
Oh yeah, I
Dude,
bet.
you got your third member of the podcast crew here. This is what it's like, man. I mean, I've been gone for like, what have we been talking for like an hour?
116. Oh, we've been talking longer than that, but we've been recording for 116.
Yeah.
And what
Everybody's
time is it
like,
over there
what-
now? It's
what-
like, what, 6:45? Oh, yeah, we're in the middle of the afternoon. It's like late afternoon for
Yeah.
you.
Everybody's like, where is Dad? He's talking to his old buddy.
Yeah, this is still going. All right,
He's gonna
so
be able to, like,
imposter
edit this
syndrome,
out.
right? So, yeah, when it comes to like definitely the technical aspect of my day, like I don't know what I'm doing with my job. Like, there's nothing I have to do daily. Like the airmen have to do things every day. They got to run scans, they got to mitigate, they got to do all like this security stuff, and I'm just there to make sure they do it. So whenever they ask me like a technical question, now they've kind of learned that I don't know the answer. Like they kind of just get it now. Like, oh, Sergeant Donnie's not going to know the answer to that.
You can go get it.
I can go find out. Yeah, like I know
Yeah,
where to
she's
look
fine.
for it, but like they know not to ask me technical shit. So like in that aspect, yeah, imposter syndrome's big. But now I'm getting the hang of it. Like I know what we're supposed to do and who's supposed to do it. So like if something didn't get done, I'll know who didn't do it and like why they didn't do it. So
Yeah.
in that, but when it comes down to like the Air Force stuff, like Air Force knowledge, like I know a lot more than I thought I knew, especially when they ask me a question and I'm like, it's a situation I've never been in. Like I obviously don't have a family, so I have no idea how the EFMP works, like the special cases of having kids with like handicaps and shit. And this kid, one of my airmen, he has two kids or one kid is EFMP. So he asked about that, and I was like, oh yeah, I know. And like for some reason, like I just blurted out the answer to it, and I was like, why would I even know the answer to that? You know, like I've never had an airman that's dealt with it, but I know where you need to go to do that and like get that all sorted out. And I'm like, when did I learn that? You know, like when that's not on a test. That's nothing you should deal with unless you're in that situation. But I'm like, I don't know when I learned that. But so there's a lot of stuff I know, but I don't realize I know it until they ask. And then even if they ask and I don't know, I still pretend like I know, and then I find the answer out. Like in my love the best part about my job is making a phone call to get something accomplished. That's like, I love when someone's like, I'm waiting for the commander to sign this, and it's been like 2 days. I'm like, hold on. And I call over and I that's like, it's like my favorite thing to do. Cause it's like an A1C working at the desk. And I'm like, hey, you busy? And they're like, no. I'm like, all right, good. You got to get the commander to sign this today. And they're like, okay. I'm like, do you understand? And they're like, yes. I'm like, okay. And I hang up the phone and like 5 minutes goes by and then it's in their inbox signed. I'm like, yeah, got them. But like, for some reason,
I haven't quite nailed that down yet. I don't think I'm the intimidating NCO that can like go bust on doors and people are gonna do what I say. I mean, I certainly will go bust on doors, but yeah, no, I think you have the stature. You know, you've got the Do the people listening even know how big you are? This dude is huge, guys. He's a big guy.
Yo, so I gotta send you a picture. It's a bed because they took it with a wide. They turned the camera sideways, so I look way like wider than I should look, but. The people I work with are like children compared to me. Like the heaviest kid in our office is like 150. Like they're tiny. There's so much.
That's like your left leg.
I tower over these people. Like it's crazy. Because they're just like, you know, the youngest kid is like 21. He just turned 21, and he looks like he's 13 years old. And like the one kid that's like 27, he's been in the Air Force for like 10 years. If he doesn't make staff this year, they're kicking him out. But he looks like I think he's 104 pounds. Like he's a tiny little fucking, and like they're just intimidated by me and my size. Like, so the one kid, he's trying to skill bridge, but he's been in the dorms for like 4 years because he's kind of a fuck up, and it's a whole thing. Senior airman, big senior airman energy going around. Like this kid doesn't care at all, and but he's cool. So he had to get the shirt to sign something. Or he needed the shirt for an answer. So I'm like, call the shirt phone. Calls the shirt phone, doesn't answer. I'm like, all right, let's go take a walk over there. Because the CSS is like 2 buildings down. So I'm like, let's go walk over there and knock on some doors. So we walk in and our shirt's like a meathead. Like this dude is, first of all, he's a master sergeant with a diamond. He's only been in for 11 years. I don't know how he managed that, but he's a pretty boy.
Cooking.
He wears eyeliner. He's a pretty boy. Like a full on, like really like, everyone thinks he's
got his own...
He's
his own health skincare routine.
Yeah, he's a little on the curious side, and so I don't like him because I don't trust. I always thought that first sergeants should be like very wise, wisdom. They should carry around like 18 years of Air Force knowledge, not 11. And you clearly kissed ass to get this far type of energy, but he clearly kissed ass to get where he is because he's a yes man and he like yells at people. He's very like dickish. So and but he's short though. That's his problem. So like I'm like, yeah, let's go knock on his door. You know. I knock on the door. Yeah. He's like, oh, come in. I was like, hey, shirt, he needs some help with his skill bridging. And he's like, you couldn't have called? And I was like, I did. You didn't answer. And I'm just staring at him. And then he gets up and he's like, what do you need? And he starts talking and he kept talking over me. He wouldn't let me talk. Like he wouldn't let me speak, but I'm standing next to him and I just kept inching closer. You remember that? Remember when we what book was that? We read that book and it was like you have to stand up tall when you're in a room full of people. It like intimidates them. I started doing that shit to him. I started like leaning my shoulders back and just like walking closer to him, like puffing my chest out. And I'm like, I don't think anyone noticed it, but he definitely like cowered a little bit after that. He's like, oh yeah. And he like went back and sat behind his desk. He got a little shook. And I was telling my office, I was like, it helps to be bigger than people. Even if they outrank me, it just helps because they're going to talk to me different. They're not going to be disrespectful. They're going to check it because they know that I can body them if I really needed to. So they're going to change their tone a little bit when they speak to me. I was like, that's
Yeah.
why I like confronting people to get things done, because they change their tone real quick when it's not on Teams.
Jordan Peterson, 12 rules of.
That's what it was. Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules of Life. And it was like, you have to puff your chest up and stand
Yeah,
tall.
12 Rules of Life.
And it intimidates everybody around you. You have to be like the alpha and shit. So
Good book.
Oh, yeah. A little controversial.
Obviously
but-
worked. Did your shirt have a bazooka behind his desk?
Nah, he has all those awards out on his desk. Dude's weird.
Oh, God.
He has a fitness podcast, I think. Where
He's definitely like Levito winner and
yeah. Oh, yeah. Because
Everything.
you know, you in process, you have to like meet with the commander, you have to meet with the SEL, you have to meet with everybody. I never met with him, and he just wasn't. I called him, he didn't answer, and I was like, all right, fuck it. I don't like. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I don't really want to. And then when I did end up talking to him, he's like, how long you been in? He's like, how old are you? I'm like, 35. He's like, how long you been in? And I was like, I don't know, like 6 years. He's like, oh. I was like, what about you? He's like, you're a master sergeant, you know? Like, what are you going on? Like 15, 16? He's like, 11. I was like, and you're a shirt? Like a diamond. He's got not like a temporary shirt. And I was like, yeah. And then he's like, yeah, just working hard, you know, sticking to it. And I was like, what'd you do? And then, like, what was your normal job? He's like, crew chief. And I was like, oh, this guy kissed ass to get out of his career field. Like, that was my first thought, was like, oh, he didn't want to do that. He kissed his ass. He kissed his way out of that one.
hey, I can respect it though. I can respect the hustle.
Oh, yeah. I got
Playing the game, man.
he knows what he's doing. Like so his thing is like not even regs. It's just like humiliating people is like his thing. So like he'll call you out for like having your PT shirt untucked, stuff like that, or like your socks are too high in your PT uniform, stuff like that. He gets you for. So like I wear like a knee, like a leg sleeve on my right leg, the one I had surgery on. And like, I don't know if it's in regs or not. I don't really give a shit. He asked me if I had a profile for that. And I was like, no. And he's like, well, it's not part of the uniform. And I like looked around and I'm like, yeah, but really? And he's like, just making sure you know. So I'm like, all right. I went back to my car and put the PT pants on. And he's like, that's more like it. I was like, all right, man. What? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like, why does that even bother you? You're lucky I'm here. You know what I mean? You're lucky I showed up to PT today. And you're gonna bust my balls about a black leg. It wasn't like it had like
Yeah.
KKK on it or something wild. Like, it just the black leg sleeve that I wear. And I'm like, well, I had knee
That's rough,
surgery.
man.
He's like, do you have a profile? I'm like, no. Why would I have a profile? I'm like, it was 3 years ago. He's like, oh, you shouldn't. That's not in the uniform. And I was like, all right, man. Like, this is what you're worried
That's how he
about.
got where he is, man. That's how he got where he's at.
He came in.
But-
I told him, I locked the door, actually. I said, we're having a meeting. He came, because we have cameras at the front door. So he has to ring to get in. He doesn't have permission to just walk in. So he rang and I went to the window and I'm like, oh, we're having a staff meeting right now. And he's like, oh, I'm just here to check on something. And I was like, all right, we'll be done in 15 minutes. And then he just walked away from the window and shut the door. And then he just left. I saw him on the camera, like he like looked around and then he looked at his phone. He went back to his car and left. And I was like, I don't want this guy coming in. And what he was doing was going office to office, and he had a ruler in his hands. He was measuring men's hair length. That's what his mission was that day, was to measure hair length. I was like, see, that's why I didn't let him in. I was like, because he wasn't doing anything important. I was like, he wasn't doing anything. I knew he was there to bust someone's balls. Like, I just had that feeling. Like, why else would he be here? And sure enough, he was there just to measure hair length. He had a fucking ruler in his pocket.
It's crazy.
But these people, that's how they get ahead. That's what the Air Force does, man. You got to kiss ass. And I tell my airmen this too. I was like, I fucking hate it. I was like, and you can look at me. I'm not the image guy. Like, I don't care how it looks, but I know who's looking when I do something. Just, I'm aware of who's
That's the thing.
watching me. I was like, so you'll never
Was there
see
anybody
me.
around?
Yeah, I was like, you'll never see me.
Was there
in
anybody
uniform.
around?
Like me?
No. Whenever the first sergeant was like telling you things like the sleeve's not in regs, or
Oh, yeah,
like
there was
checking
people, and
people's
they
haircut.
knew what they knew that I was like the new guy, and that he was like trying to test, like he was like setting the tone, you know, like they knew, and like after the fact, like that's what he does. Like if you're the new person, or if he hasn't seen you in a while, like he does stuff like that to like let you know that he's in charge. And it's like, that's
I just thought I meant like the commander and stuff like that. Usually
oh yeah, the commander was there. He heard it. They all,
they loved it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But our commander's chill as fuck. He talks about the shirt in a way that's kind of disrespectful.
Almost dinner time. Whatever. I'm cool with whatever. Sorry.
You're good. I was watching your hand motions. I was like, he's definitely going to eat something right now. But no, he's a our commander he's laid back as all. He's a lieutenant colonel, obviously, nice dude. He's like, he told me during our like one-on-one meeting, he got in trouble we had an inspection and like the base commander was like, none of your people are on regs. None of your people like stand up when I walk in, like all this stuff. And he goes, yeah, but they're really good at their jobs, right? And he's like really big on just do your job. I don't really give a shit how you do it. As long as it gets done and you're not overtly rude, I don't really care. Like, he's like, I'm not going to. And he calls out the shirt without saying the shirt's name. He'll be like, some people in the Air Force like to enforce weird rules and go around and police people, but that's not my philosophy. And like, it's weird because the shirt's like standing next to him, like nodding his head. And it's like, dude, he's talking about you. Like, it's clear as day. And like my section chief, he's retiring. He says that he goes, our shirt's a fucking dumbass. He's like, I hate that guy. He goes, he's the worst person. He goes, he comes around and he makes me go to PT. He goes, where were you? He goes, we're the same rank. He goes, I outrank him by about 8 years. He goes, he called me at 6:30 in the morning and asked me why I wasn't at PT. He goes, I told him because I'm retiring, and hung up the phone. And he's like, I hate that guy. He's like, no one listens to him. He's like, we just have to deal with him because he's our shirt. That must be a terrible reputation.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm baffled. I'm literally baffled.
I mean, it's just what. So that's what I was saying. I was like, I tell my airmen, I'm like, you'll never see me in my uniform doing any kind of dance, standing up on a table. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm in my uniform and I'm outside of the office, like I'm going to my car and going, like, you know, I'm not dicking around because you never know who's looking. I was like, and that's the whole thing. I was like, I'm not one of these like image people that you have to kiss ass to get ahead. I'm like, but you got to know who's watching you at certain times. I was like, so that's why like making sure your uniform looks good on you, making sure your hair is in regs. I'm like, because all it takes is one person to point it out and it's going to just ruin your reputation. You're going to be that guy that had the outer regs hair or that guy that had his shirt untucked at PT. Like and then it just stays with you for way longer than it should. I was like, so image is everything, although I don't agree that's the way it should be. That's just how it is. I was like, so make sure you guys are respectful and you use the yes sir, no sir, all that stuff. Even though you could be as comfortable as you want with the person and they're cool, you never know who else is listening to you at the time. And that person can have a huge sway in something that you don't even know about. And they're like, oh, it's stupid. I'm like, it is dumb. I was like, I'm telling you it's dumb, but it's just how it is, man.
It's a game. It's a game.
I was like, people
play the game.
Happily throw you under the bus too to get ahead, especially in, like they'll happily do it to save themselves and to just get ahead. They'll push you in front of the bus. So
that could be another Military Monday topic is the evaluation system. What, baby? Let your brother help you. He's very capable. There you go. It's funny because she knows he's capable of doing it and he can do it, but she doesn't want to ask him to help. But that could be another Military Monday segment is the evaluation system. If you think about it, it breeds competition, and competition in the workplace isn't always the healthiest thing. I don't think, especially competition amongst your peers to progress. Like for instance, you and me, if we were in the same shop, both being tech sergeants, trying to be masters, right? Yeah. I wouldn't be willing to stoop down to the level to like keep you from getting it. But at the end of the day, let's say we didn't have this relationship that we have. We're just two coworkers who just met. We both know only one of us is going to be able to be master sergeant. Do you think that we're going to be friends?
We would be like,
I'd have to stand out from you.
Yeah, we would be like very nice to each other, so we didn't come off like we hate each other or like we didn't like each other. But yeah, like if there was one slot and it was between me and you, like, and we didn't know each other the way we know each other, like, yeah, I'm gonna step over you. Like, yeah, I want that. I want to make more money. I want to be the senior NCO. You know, like that's just what it is.
Oh, you got a 95 on your PT test? I got a 99.
Yeah, now I have to get a 96. Or I have to do something else that stands out just as much as the 95 does. Like, I have to beat you at something work-related then to get ahead. And it's like, I get it, but now you're putting people against each other that are supposed to work together. And it's like, doesn't really...
See my point. it's not healthy. I don't think having peer competition, because at the end of the day, the only thing it's breeding is an unhealthy hope for demise of the other individual.
Yeah, we had the BTZ thing when I first got here. That was my first hurdle of being a NCO. Was I had 3 airmen all going for the only 3 in the squadron going for BTZ. I had to write their packages, and 3 of them were my troops. And I was like, I just met you guys. Like, I don't know who, like, you know. And so they were all friends. 2 of them obviously didn't get it, and the one girl got BTZ, and she clearly was like light years ahead. She's older. She has like a master's degree. She's trying to put an OTS package in. She raises her hand for everything. She's always on time. You know, she's just a really good. And these other 2 were great workers, but they just didn't. There's nothing you can do. Like,
Meet up to that.
Yeah, she was light years ahead of them. And it's not their fault. Like, they're both, one was 20, the other one's 22. Like, you can't have a master's degree at 20, you know? It's so like, there's nothing they could have done to win other than trying and then failing, and then they get upset. Like, I tried and I did all this stuff and I still didn't make it. And it's like, no, I understand it, but someone should have told you, like, you don't really have a shot, you know? Like,
Yeah.
they should have been honest with you, being like, you're not going to get it. And so, like, you don't really need to try that much, because all that shit you just did, not going to matter, because you don't have an EPR until you're a senior airman. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to matter for 2 years what you just did. So, like,
It's all of those. It's those kids' first taste at. They're going to have a realization that, like, oh, her doing good and her volunteering and separating herself, doing those things, that's bad for me.
yeah,
You know, it's unfortunate, instead of just being able to. But the other part of that too is I can diss on it all day, right? But I don't have a solution. I can't. I've thought about this before. I can't think of anything to replace it.
no,
So
like, it doesn't. Like, it works. It just doesn't. Like, the negative side of it, I think, is a lot worse than the positive. Like, one person gets BTZ, but the 7 people that tried are all miserable now. And you have to give them, like, the speech to be like, well, keep doing what you're doing and all this and that. But, like, deep down, like, I already know them. They're, like, there's the one kid, he hasn't volunteered for anything since. Like, he just doesn't care anymore. And I'm like, I don't blame him. If I was here before the whole BTZ process started, because I came in and it was like, these 3 are going for it and the packages are due in a month. Like, I had like no say in, like, their mentoring, I guess.
Yeah.
I would have told them, like, you don't need to go for this. Like, you know, like,
yeah,
you don't have to if someone's telling you to go for an award, like, you can just say, no, I don't want to go for the award, and just do your job and go home. I was like, but they forced you to do all this extra stuff, and then it didn't work, and now you're resenting everything, and you hate the person that won, even though you guys worked together, and she clearly deserved it, but now there's tension between you guys.
Yeah.
And now you're miserable, and it's like, I would have told you from the start, like, don't even try. And I tell them all the time, I was like, I don't volunteer for anything that I don't want to do. Like, I've never volunteered for something outside of the workday. I'll volunteer for, like, additional duties. If they're like, hey, we have these 2 additional duties and we need you to pick one that you want to do, I'll do that. But I'm not going to, like, go clean the gate, you know? Like, and I was like, I made staff in 3.5 years. I made tech in 7 years. Like, you can get ahead and not volunteer for stuff. I was like, it's not that hard. I'm like, it comes down to just doing your job really well and looking like the Air Force. Like, just don't get into trouble, basically, is what it is. Like, just don't do anything stupid. I was like, and just know who's around and play the game. Like, you know, kiss a little ass, but not overtly. Just.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would say kissing ass, because I don't feel like I've ever kissed ass. I don't feel like you've ever kissed ass. There's just certain things you can do to separate yourself. Others may call it kissing ass, where you just are professional. Like, it's like if I was to work at any corporation, Google, Amazon, Bing, and the equivalent to a squadron commander were to come in, I would act the same way that I do, which is friendly, personable. You get into, like, the whole, like, lovable, like, big time personality. I mean, kissing the commander at the Christmas party on the forehead.
Yeah.
See, I don't see all of those sorts of things as, like, kissing ass. I see that as, like, just being a likable person, and that, in my own take, goes equally as far
as, what they would say, probably further than kissing ass. Just being a good person, being a likable person. So all you listeners out there who are young Air Force enlisted airmen trying to get ahead, you've heard it here first. Here's 2 examples. Early tech sergeants in their career who definitely endorse playing the game, but what that means isn't, being schemy. It just means take care of your business, do the right thing, especially when people are watching, obviously. Do good at your job. Playing the game, I think, just means making sure no one has to tell you things like, go get a haircut.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like, just make sure you're always presentable. Like, be on time. Make sure you look good in your uniform. And yes, sir.
No one should have to tell you to shave.
That's it.
No one should have to tell you to shave. Or
it's really like those 3 things are. I legit tell my airmen that. I'm like, if you do those 3 things every time, you can never really be in that much trouble. Like, show up on time, look the part, make sure you're in regs. There you go. There he is. Hey, Keelan. Dinner time, buddy. Oh. Hey, Emerson.
Yeah, it's almost dinner time. You're a stinker.
All right, so we can wrap this up. I'm gonna give you the old.
All right, man.
I'm gonna give you the question of the day.
Oh, okay. Question of the day. You guys might have to help me answer. Can you help me?
I'll make sure it's nothing. Make sure it's not.
Yeah, can we keep it at least?
Yeah.
You should ask them one. They should have
a
a
random question of the day that a 5th grader would answer.
He's gonna ask you a question. You have to answer it, okay? Okay, let's put this down for just a second. But when you talk, you have to talk loud.
I mean, that's like not a. It's just a random question, but we're gonna change that one. That's a weird one. It's like, what are the 3 states of matter? Like, no, what are the?
Oh, you should. I wonder if Keelan would know that one.
What is it?
Keelan, do you know what
are the 3 states of matter?
What are the 3 states of matter?
Matter? What's matter?
What's the matter with you?
Nailed him.
Got him.
What is matter?
Matter. It's like solid, liquid, and gas.
Matter.
Mm-hmm.
Should I tell me?
You want him to tell you something?
Hold on, I got a good question.
Hey, I'm gonna put the old ears on Emerson.
All right.
Ask her a question about Peppa Pig. I'm gonna ask you a question. You gotta talk
Hey,
loud.
Emerson. What's your favorite part about Peppa Pig?
Singing the song.
Singing songs? What's Peppa Pig's favorite song to sing? How does she sound when she sings? Can you sing for me?
It's Muddy Puddles.
It's Muddy Puddles.
All right, Muddy Puddles. All right. When's your birthday, Emerson?
May 19th.
There you go.
All right, Kay's
let's
got the ears.
Here you go, Keelan. I got a question for you. You ready?
Yeah.
If you found a wallet on the playground filled with money, what would you do with it and why?
Keep it.
Keep it?
Yeah.
What if it's full of like $200? You'd keep it still?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. You wouldn't give it back?
No.
I would probably keep it too, though. Let's be honest. I would, if it was more than like $20, I'd definitely keep it. What if you found it and it had $1,000 in it?
You want to see my best?
Definitely keep it. All right, that's a good answer. Yeah, I mean, I think I would probably keep it too. I'd give the wallet. I'd keep the money and give the wallet back. That's how you do it. You take the money out, you keep it.
Oh, that's smart. It's my turn.
We couldn't hear anything that you asked him. I could just hear his
If you
answer.
found a wallet on the playground filled with money, what would you do with it and why? He said, I'd keep it.
I'm raising gangsters over here, dude.
What if it was $200? He goes, yeah, I'm keeping it. I was like, what if it was $1,000? I'd definitely keep it.
Hold on, baby. Hold on. Dude, that's so funny. Even if you knew you could give it back to someone.
I was like, yeah, I would take the money. I was like, if it were me, I would take the money out and give the wallet back. He goes, that's a smart move. I was like, all right. This kid gets it.
That's a smart move. Hey, at least he's being real.
Yeah, he's keeping it real. I typed in what's an ethical question for a 5th grader? And that was the question that came up. If you found a wallet on the playground filled with money, what would you do with it and why?
Go inside for just a second, baby. I'm almost done. He's just gonna ask me one question, and then we're coming inside. Alright, I'm back.
should answer. All right. How about this one? If you could save... all right, here. Ready?
Yeah.
If you could save the lives of 5 people by causing one to die, would you do so? Would you do so? Why or why not?
Can you ask it one more time?
If you could save the lives of 5 people by causing one person to die, would you do so? Why or why not?
Yes. Yes, I would. And yeah, I think it's just it's like democracy, right? Like it's for the greater good. Yeah, I think I would. That's a tough question. There's so many caveats. Do I know these people? Are they totally random strangers in the world where somebody clicks a button and like one person has to die?
I'm guessing it's random people, but say if this was like a serious question, like, and you answered it, and then I was like, well, congratulations, you just killed your mom, you know, and then you're like, oh, well, I wouldn't do it then. Like now I wouldn't do it, but it's like at the time you don't know. So I'm assuming you don't know until you know.
Take that further, if this was like obviously, if this was serious, my mother had to know that like, hey, you died so that 5 people could live. I think that she might would understand, but I certainly wouldn't. Yeah, I'd have to know who the person dying is.
Like,
as selfish as that is.
I mean, I guess you don't. That's the whole thing. He's like, you don't know who you're going to kill until.
Wow, that's a terrible question. That's making me like rethink my my level of sanity.
I mean, yeah, because like you don't know, and then say you click the button, you're like, I'll kill one person, and then like, I mean, Emily keels over next to you, and that's it. Like, but
God,
like,
yeah,
5 people got saved, you know?
Take it back! I take it back!
Yeah.
I actually had to do some questions in order to, you know, I tried to be a SEER specialist prior to being a weather guy.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother, you know, world we could pour into. But one of the personality tests that I had to take was exhausting, and it was like almost 200 questions of basically similar stated questions that you just asked me, where there's no right answer, absolutely no right answer, and they're awful. Like, oh my God, I don't want to even think about having to choose between killing someone or not. But I mean, these questions were just elaborate. Like,
yeah,
your mom, your father, 2 strangers are burning in a house. You can only save one. Who do you pick? It's like, what? How do I answer that?
Yeah, they always look for like answers like, I'd let them all burn because you're gonna mourn them all equally. Like that's the kind of shit they want you to say. Is like, you have to like say an answer that they don't think of, and then because it's like you're thinking outside of the box. That's what some of those questions are trying to get you to say. Like oh, like on that, because that's the trolley question. Like, would you kill 5 people to save one, or whatever, or kill one person to save 5? It's like
let's turn it on you.
Like I would try to stop the train, and it's like, all right, well, that's not the point of it. But so
yeah, what would you do?
Oh yeah, one person's definitely gonna die.
Someone's got a big red button in front of you. You have 3 seconds to make your choice. If you hit the button, 1 person dies in the world, but 5 are saved, whatever that means. 5 get to live.
That's the thing. Like, are they gonna live and like do shit, or like they're just gonna like, are they gonna cure cancer, or like are they gonna live and just live in their mom's basement for? Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Are they gonna be losers, or like, do they know I saved them? Like, that's like, do they know I saved them and I could have just
like saved them from what? Terminal cancer?
Yeah, like, or it's like, oh, I saved them, but they ended up getting a car accident 2 days later, and it didn't matter. So now 2 people are dead. Like, so now my mom's dead, and this guy got into a car accident. Like, you know? And now I feel really bad.
Made a wrong decision there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would definitely just kill the 1 person, and the 5 would live. But yeah, it would suck if it was someone close to me, obviously. But I would look at it like I saved 5 people. Well, actually, I guess you're saving 4 because 1, you know, the plus minus there is 4.
It's
You know, you're trading. I'd rather have 4 of anything than 1. I would trade 1 for 4 on any day of the week.
Right. That's why I answered so quickly. It's like, well, 5 people living is better than just 1 person living.
Imagine they ask you that question, like you're getting your like you're getting like reinvestigated for like your clearance, and the guy asks you that question, you're like, oh, I'd kill the 1 person.
They're like,
save
wrong.
the 5, and they're like, congratulations, you just killed the president. You don't get your clearance, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't know, like, you know what I mean? They're like, congrats, you just ruined your clearance, and it's like, I didn't know that was part of the game.
Right. Exactly.
Like those 5 people just flew into the towers. Good job. And you're like, come on, man. Like
I think the big thing is like, I feel like the crazy part of that is like saved them. That's what really stumps my brain. Saved them. Like, does that mean like all there's 6 people at gunpoint, 1 over here to the side, and then 5 others, and then
probably, yeah.
If you can either
if you say no, they all die, or
they all die.
Maybe the
well,
one
then
person
there's only
lives and the other 5 die.
Oh, yeah. So it's either that's probably it. You can
That is
either
it. It's the trolley. You ever see you ever seen the meme of the trolley, and it's like if you pull the lever, it veers off, but it kills 1 instead of with the 5.
That's it, man. That's
Yeah.
it. We've cracked it. We figured it. Our minds aren't morbid, so it took us a while to get there. But you're right. So if there's a group of 5 on the left and 1 random person on the right,
Yeah.
and you have to pick one group's getting eliminated, like obviously I'm
One
gonna
person
save
not.
more.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, bro. Like,
I'm not killing 5 people,
what if they're like, okay, they switch it around. They're like, it was you.
and then I
Just
die
saved
to
5
save
people.
5 people. I mean,
Okay.
I guess.
Would you
at
do that?
Point, you have no. You're nothing. What are you gonna do? You already. It's already over. Like you already pushed the button. Like I guess. Like it's like a slow death though. They're like, all right, well, since you did that, you scumbag. Now, now you're gonna have like fucking leukemia for 10 years. Like you're gonna have a shitty disease. You're gonna slowly die from.
You know, my brother had leukemia.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't. I said that. And I was like, I think someone. I was like, I'm pretty sure his brother had cancer. I didn't know.
My brother had cancer. He's good though.
Oh, that's good.
He's just ugly.
Yeah, he was probably like that before the leukemia, though. Remember when I made that joke to him about his girlfriend and he flipped out because he didn't understand that I was just fucking with him?
Oh my god.
That's not what your girlfriend said the other night. He was like, don't ever say that about my girlfriend again. And I was like, dude, relax. It's a joke.
I totally forgot about that.
That was like the first time I ever talked to him. That's why. And I know like you guys are like, big Texans down there. You guys are very prideful people. I knew he was going to get pissed off, but he was like really upset. Don't ever talk about my girlfriend like that. Because they were getting married or some shit, right? They were planning on it or something. No, that's not what your girlfriend told me the other night. That shit ain't funny.
Just a funny thing to say.
Yeah,
just
like it's a joke.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Like, yeah.
I'll let you go because you got dinner and shit. I'll edit this bitch down.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, man, I
It's gonna be
appreciate you
awesome.
coming on. I'll stick this all together. It's gonna be like at least an hour. There wasn't that much downtime in here. We actually spoke for the entire hour and like almost 2 hours we were talking. So the silence detection isn't
videos-
gonna pick up too much silence.
My video is not going to be broadcast, is it?
No.
Okay, cool. Because I didn't think about that. There was a while where my computer was like on its side and I was like flexing, trying to see my muscles.
Stupid. No, I mean I could see you the whole time, but no, it's not gonna be. It's only gonna be
God,
a video
that's-
of me.
Okay, that's cool. That's
So
cool.
I'll send you the final clip before I post it, just so you can listen
Yeah,
to it
you-
and make sure there's nothing
you could,
going on there.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe edit out the part where you're talking about your leadership's the dude wearing
I don't
eyeliner.
I don't care. I'd kick his ass. What's he gonna do about it?
You're not worried at all about like him finding this and
No, it wasn't you can't really get the way. This is like I guess might be naive to say, but like, what are they gonna do? Like, I didn't say anything that was like I didn't say I was gonna go kill him or something, or like it's just like this guy's kind of. I didn't say anything I just said I don't like him.
I don't know.
It's kind of weird.
Like unbecoming. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't think you said anything crazy. I just would, like you were saying earlier, you can make fun of somebody at the gym and fucking roast it.
I'm not worried about it. If it comes down to it, I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
Trying to take a shot?
No. I don't have any liquor in the house. I don't keep any alcohol in the house.
Who are you?
I mean, I got a dog, man. I gotta be responsible.
Where's my Danu who's getting lost
If I drank by myself,
Waffle?
that'd be a problem. Like, that's what Pay. I was like, Pay, don't give me money to drink because I'm gonna drink by myself. It's gonna be bad news.
Yeah.
So
Well, I appreciate you having me on, dude. It was fun. I had a good time.
We'll definitely do it again.
Yeah, for sure.
Man.
This is my first ever experience with like any of it, so it was interesting to see it. The kids are gonna freaking love it. We listen to your podcast in the car. They're gonna love being able to like
hear themselves.
Nope. Yeah, they're gonna eat that up. You like my glasses? I put these on just to fuck with you.
No, that's fine. I mean, I wear sunglasses when I'm doing it because my eyes are.
Yeah,
I
no.
have a massive screen. That's why. It's like I'm always
why-
looking at
that's why I
different
put 'em
screens the whole time, and it's like a confidence thing for me, I guess. I don't know. But yeah,
Dude, your setup's sick. I saw you. I haven't seen you the whole video. It's been off, but I saw your setup for like 2 or 3 seconds. It's pretty sweet, dude. He's got like a whole room with like lights and
LEDs.
everything like that. Yeah.
They were like
It's cool. Wanna say hi to him?
$6 for
It's
like
not the
100 yards of
podcast.
it.
It's just Donnie. Say hi.
Okay, everyone. You can tell him I said hi.
He said he wants to talk to you.
I didn't say that.
This is the voice right here.
Can
Hey,
you see
Emily.
me? Hey, Donnie, what's up? I don't want him to
going
see me. Well, I don't want him to see me. Not much, just making dinner.
What are you making?
Well, actually, it was Tyler's night to make dinner, but it's approximately 7:29, so this is what we're having.
Blame it on him.
A platter of leftovers, including Wingstop and fruit and sandwiches.
That sounds good though. Nothing wrong with that. I asked your son Keelan if he found a wallet full of money on the playground, would he give it back? And he said no, he'd keep it because it's full of money. All right, so you know.
Would your answer be any different at 8 years
Oh
old?
no, I told him I'd take the money out and then give the wallet back and be like, hey, this is how I found it. So it
Yeah,
wasn't
I
any
think I would
different.
probably. I would do the same.
Isn't that funny? We're laughing
would
about
take
I'll
your
let you guys
answer.
go enjoy dinner.
Wrong choice, bro. Unethical.
Fine.
Emerson, you want to hear him? You want to talk?
She's already been doing this, bro.
What is it?
Got
It's just
Peppa
Donnie.
Pig.
He's sitting by.
You gotta put Peppa Pig on.
Say bye, Donnie.
Bye, Emerson.
Say enjoy your evening. You're gonna tell me bye?
Bye, Keelan. Nice talking to you, buddy, you little thief.
You're gonna tell me bye? He can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Say bye, Donnie.
Go away if he can see you too.
Yeah, he can see you right there. He's on the other screen. His screen's off.
I'll see you later, Keelan.
You too.
All right, man.
All right, man. I'll see you later. Enjoy dinner.
Yeah, take it easy, buddy.
Okay, bye.
So, understandably so, I'm hoping everyone stayed along for that journey. We didn't really follow one topic too long or tackle topics like one at a time, you know. It wasn't your conventional interview, I guess, but we will work on that.